And here we go. So actually, I forgot to do this last time. I will get that public share link in case you didn't grab it out of there we are. In case you weren't able to grab it out of the note page that we're using for today, there is the public share link to today's presentation. And this is AI Tools for Teachers and Students Level 2. And I do say featuring School AI. I do a lot of the work that I've been working on this last year and a half with School AI because it is the AI of choice, the one that we are currently working with paying subscriptions for our students. And the reason for that, just to be very upfront with that, the reason that it's School AI is the big thing that I'm going to show you today, which is the Spaces tool and how those tools can be used to help our students. They are student-facing chatbots. Other companies have sort of played around with this. Magic School AI has a variation of it, but the best version of it has been in School AI. Even Google's Gems sort of lag behind because there's no way to have a dashboard and see what students are working on and things like that. Not that we want to like Big Brother watch students all the time, but we on school district devices we need to know what are students doing with AI and whatnot. So with that said, off we go into School AI Level 2 featuring School AI. So here's what we're going to do in this quick hour. The available resources, after all, an hour is pretty quick. School AI, what's new? Turns out there's quite a bit-ish. When I first made this presentation, Michael and Rick had just gotten back from ISTE, which is a conference, and School AI was saying, we're going to see it today, that there's this new glow up coming, but it's not actually the primary product right now. It's still in a beta mode. So if you've used School AI before, which I hope you have, the older framework is still the current framework, but I will show what the new framework kind of looks like for whenever the switch happens. We're going to talk a lot today about feeding AI, not the every time I have a chat, AI learns more, not that version of feeding AI, but rather purposeful. What am I giving to AI to work through with me? And then Spaces, which is the big School AI claim to fame. And finally, some stuff about leveling up prompts and Brisk if time allows. So here we
You
go.
will get to Andy will get to brisk if he is brisk.
You're co-opting my nice. I'll mute you from here if I
I'll
need
show
to.
myself out.
Yeah,
All right, I just want
exactly.
to see if you were recording.
I am. Thanks. So I usually do this page last, but I want to start with it this time because there's a lot to cover in the hour 50 minutes that we're going to be doing this, because there will be a little bit of time at the end just to explain how to fill out the pay sheet correctly. But we have all these digital learning guidebooks. We are spending this last part of our summer doing the updates that will match, but there's a link right over here to the side. I'm going to pop over here. This is the Schenectady Digital Learning Guidebooks bookshelf. You'll notice School AI has its own book. That book's going to be referenced in what I'm working on right now. Especially that whole thing you'll notice right here about feeding it something to interact with. That's actually a big thing that we're going to talk about. But I do want to point out that we do have all of these books, including some newer ones like the Student's Guide to Digital Tools, which was specifically made this past year for high school students who were trying to catch up after absences and things like that. And in alternate settings and whatnot. So we're starting to sort of think through those things, and well, not starting to, we have been thinking through those things, but we want to point out that we, the digital learning coaches, are available. There's a clickable link in the slide deck here for booking time with us. And then also our Instagram, our podcast. There's a lot of tools and resources out at Schenectady Learns. If you haven't been there in a while, definitely check it out. So with that said, AI tools for educators, School AI, what's new? Here we go. School AI has changed this summer. It's still beta, but there's a whole new dashboard. It's now your personal assistant called Dot in a space called, they realize how funny this is because of the old product, MySpace. And then for now, we're still using the original version. and things that you make will still be accessible in the new version. You'll still be able to get back to anything that you make at this point, but it is worth seeing what they're thinking of, because it kind of informs something that we've been digging into this summer, which is this idea. And you're going to see some stuff in the back to school paperwork from our team about this, which is that there are, in fact, oh, do I have the ability to open it? Yes, I do. Let's see if I can open it right now. I realize I'm leaving my presentation, but I want to see if it's right here. Oh, no, it's not here. Sorry, then I'll just speak about it. Sorry. So what we've been exploring is this idea of transactional versus transformational AI use. Transactional AI use, which is how everybody gets started, is sort of a one and done, mic drop, AI does the work for me type AI use. And that would be like, you know, ChatGPT, Gemini, School AI, make this thing for me. Cool, it made it. I turn around, I hand it to my students. Hooray, I'm using AI. That's what we would call transactional AI use. You're using it to get a thing to give to somebody else. What we're looking to do is transformative AI use. And transformative AI use is actually why School AI is changing things up. This is what the new framework of School AI is going to look like. We're going to hop out. I'm going to hop out into a tab so that you can see it in just a moment. But Dot is going to become the personalized School AI assistant. I do not think Dot is gendered, so I will not refer to it with a gender. But this will take the place of assistance in the current platform. So we're going to look at the two things side by side in just a moment, just so you can see what's coming down the road, because we don't want anybody to be using School AI and suddenly feel like they can't use it anymore because they're not sure how to use the platform anymore. The new thing, one of the new pieces to this, is that in this environment, there's going to be these things called power-ups, which some of them are as simple and niche as a chess game, but here is where the document generator, a doodle board, a digital whiteboard, flashcards a la Quizlet, a graphing calculator, image generator, presentation creator, translator, they're all going to be built into this new framework in a different way than they were previously, because they just lived on the tools page in the past. So the assistance page and the tools page, which we'll look at in a second, are now sort of encapsulated in what Dot can do for you. And then organization is a new piece. You can create collections and organize your documents in a way that you never were able to before. So let me pop out real quick to School AI so that we can see what I'm talking about. All right, so I guess I've restarted my computer since the last time I was logged in. Here we go. All right, so this is the traditional, original version of School AI. This is, if you've used School AI before, which I think everybody in this meet has. Across the top are your three big tools, the spaces, which we're going to come back to in a little bit, the tools, which I was just talking about. This is the build your own, the IEP goals, the text translation, vocabulary lists, and these are still things. So this is, we're sort of looking into the future and the now at the same time. These are still amazing tools to be using and things that we should be using, but again, thinking about it in more that transformational instead of transactional way, where I'm not just coming to the worksheet and going, generate a worksheet, make a worksheet, send it to my students through Google Classroom, but rather starting to think of where that fits in a larger idea of how my students learn and what I can do with AI tools to customize that experience for my students. That's ultimately what the level up is all about, is customizing student experience using AI. And I run a whole course for model schools in the summer called Customization, the secret ingredient to meeting the students where they are, because that's ultimately what we intend to do, but we don't always do. We use that term a lot, that phrase a lot in education, which is meet the students where they are, but we don't always. We meet the students sort of at a median point of where all of our students collectively are, but they're not, because there's differentiation all up and down and side to side across that. And we don't always have the time to create all the scaffolds and differentiated materials and, different response options that our students need and deserve, because there's just limited time in the day. And that's where the AI tools can come in and be helpful in that way and really transform the process. And that's kind of where we're coming from with AI use. Once folks are acclimated to it, which that's the group that Rick's working with right now, that we now are ready to take that step forward. What can I do to transform my classroom using AI tools? And again, notice we're not talking about ChatGPT writing an essay for class or something like that. That is a thing. It's not currently turned on for our students. Our students currently can only access AI through, except for a glitch that happened last spring, but we caught it, can only access AI through School AI, through things that teachers shared to them. So that's why we want to show everybody how to sort of negotiate that with the students. So there's all these sort of things that you've hopefully seen before. There's the assistants. You'll notice dots up there. But I've used tons of co-teacher ones in the past, supporting emerging ELL students, and just like ideas, routines, using MLRs, which are the math language routines. How do I actually incorporate these? AI can be one of those planning partners that really helps us out with those sort of things. But I do want to pop over to the beta real quick. It's not perfectly ready, so I wouldn't recommend living in the beta to start the year. I would recommend still staying in the primary platform, but this is what the new design will look like. And there is a feedback, so I do encourage people as you play with it a little bit to do that feedback. You basically chat to get started. It's three options because they're leaning into their spaces. That idea of teacher and student facing chatbots that are customized to a purpose, matching to standards, matching to class materials, that's where they see their zone, and they're the best game in town right now. There really isn't anybody doing that in the educational world. And Dot is here to sort of help us negotiate that. Where there used to be across the top spaces assistance tools, now that's down the side, but it's not exactly the same. It's that My Space, a discover button to find spaces and create spaces, and then the organization feature, and finally the community, which is also currently in the current version. The community is where you go out for professional development and mini certifications and stuff like that. So basically here, what you do is you say, I need to create a lesson for, I'm just going to make something up right now, volcanoes for sixth graders. We're going to come back to the paperclip in just a second, but if I just click on that and start chatting with Dot's going to essentially become my assistant. It's going to work with me to think through what that would be. So very first thing is Dot creates a lesson plan. Now I can change it, I can export it, I can do any of those sort of things. And this would have worked in the old tools. Lesson plans ready, covers definitions, types, activities, want to personalize it or add specific standards. So that's just Dot starts with a rough draft and I go, yes, let's find the correct standards for sixth grade in New York. Now I'm not going to continue this entire chat out because that would take a while. The idea here is for me to kind of give you a sense of how these things are going to work. And that way, as you plan in the next week and a half to get ready for the school year, you know what's going on. Here's what I found. Want me to align? Yes, please. Oops. So now Dot's going to align the lesson plan to those specific New York State learning standards. And so it becomes this chat. And what you would see, and as you play with it, you will find out more about this. But what you will see is that as you work out, interesting, there should have been some chats there. But as you work through it, Dot will also help you create spaces. So you can start at the space generator, or Dot will help you with those power-ups, as the case may be. Now, it's not perfectly created yet, and that's why I'm only really touching on it today, because I do want the bulk of this time to be on spaces, because that's really the big tool. But you will be able to discover, as you can right now, find spaces for, I don't know, let's see, sixth grade volcanoes. Let's see if somebody's already made a space. And lo and behold, there are volcano activities that are already created. Um, and so when we echo back into spaces in a moment, what you'll see is um, that these are all remixable. So I can discover and reuse and refine, because that's the big one for me, because I want it to be specific to my students. I don't want it to just be some generic one from, all due respect to, I don't know this person, Terry Gunnell Beck. I have no issue with Terry Gunnell Beck, but I want this to be personalized to my students. If we're talking about customizing learning for our students, we know our students better than anybody could. We don't need some generic lesson plan from the internet. Even if it works for another class somewhere else, we need something for our kids. And so that's very important to me. And I know it's very important to all of us. I'm going to go back though to the previous experience. Here we go. So this is the current one. This is the current build, and the organize button is now built into both, so you can create collections right here. Um, we are going to look at, I also have district level things. We're going to look at creating collections that way, similar to what we've done in Nearpod before and whatnot. But you can create collections, and then in those collections, you can add spaces, you can add older things. In fact, if I just go back here, all of my previous things that I've done, math worksheets, supporting ELL Pathways to Success, which is a space I created. Let's Plan a Birthday Party, a space I created for 3rd grade. I can take any of these now and I can add them to my collections so that it's a little bit better organized. That was one of the complaints by folks, that School AI was a little disorganized, because in its current form, you get all of your documents and they're just listed in time order. You can search them, but they're listed in time order. So if you're not sure about your own naming conventions, it might be hard to find something that you built previously. So with that said, I want to pop back here and talk briefly about feeding AI, and then we'll wrap back around to the spaces. So the neat thing about the tools that we're proposing here, which are School AI and Gemini, which is a newer, it's been around for Google for a while, but it's now been refined to the point where it's a good professional education usable tool. The cool thing about these companies being in digital privacy agreements with us is that we can have these chats and we're not feeding some larger model. We're not somebody's test case that they're going to take to market or anything like that. The AI use that we're able to do on these platforms, unlike, for instance, ChatGPT. I have no issue with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT isn't protecting our data as Schenectady schools. So if you as a teacher, you're able to log into ChatGPT as a teacher, everything you do there, they're using to build their models. Gemini is not using to build their models. For those who don't know, Gemini, which is found right here it's actually now into the app switcher in the waffle. Gemini looks a lot like ChatGPT. Um, and then there's, chats that I've had recently with Gemini. It, again, works a lot like other chatbots, but the idea that we're looking at here is taking things that you intend to work with outside of just your standards and bringing them into AI in a transformative way. So teacher manuals, PD resources, example worksheets, your own files, student files, redacted of names. That's a big thing. As we feed AI, irregardless of which platform it is and how private our agreement is with them, I always say, let's redact the students' names. Take the text, not the name of the student. We want this to be something that is not, we want to behave ethically. And if you've already done your EdLaw 2D training for Vector, like we know that we're inching out onto a bit of a precipice, truthfully. If we were doing zero AI, that would be irresponsible to ourselves and to our students, because AI is a part of our world. We do need to teach and understand what it is, and when to use it, when to incorporate it, but also we need to be mindful of how our data and our information is being used and incorporated in these models. And so that's where, anytime I do AI with students, that's really the first thing that we talk about. It's not, here's a chatbot, go. It's, what is AI? What is it doing? Is it a human? Is it 100% correct all the time? And the answer is no, it's not any of those things. It's something that's been made to assist us. We still have to have that sort of almost like a works cited list. We still have to have our eye on like, how accurate is that? Based on what evidence? The old library crap test. Like, is this credible? Is it reliable? Is it accurate? Is it current? Are these things actually true? And so we want to sort of be thinking through that with students. So when I say feeding AI, I'm actually going to stop sharing and reshare my screen in a different way. I want you to be able to see everything on my screen for just a quick second here. There we go. Um, yeah, we went down that rabbit hole. There we go. All right. So when I say feeding AI, this is sort of what I'm talking about. When I open, for instance, an assistant, actually, I'm going to hop to ClassLink real quick. Let's say, because this is sort of a pathway that I did this past year to help a teacher out. And I know the different levels are in this, but let's say I'm in my Wit and Wisdom, Great Minds. That's the elementary curriculum for those secondary teachers with us right now. And I'm going to switch over to Wit and Wisdom, and I'm going to go to grade 5. I'm teaching this with my students, and what I want to do at the very end, there's teacher resources. There's a teacher resource pack and planning resources. Um, Anything that's in PDF form can be downloaded and brought over to AI, not willy-nilly, again, purposefully. I'm not just going to be like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, but rather um, things that I might be using to plan. So let's see what this moving forward is. So I've taught, and I haven't, I'm just speaking as though I was in the teacher role. I've taught this for a couple of years now, but I really want to get maximum results out of it. Here's this sort of moving forward guide. I've paged through it, I've looked through it, but now I really want to go a little bit further with this. What I'm going to do is click on download, and this will work for any PDF. I just downloaded it. It says download complete. I hop over to my School AI assistant. I open a co-teacher chat or whichever one you prefer. And there's this little paper clip. I think it's in my session slides here. There's paper clips. Sometimes it's a plus sign. Sometimes it's paperclip plus. This is in different tools. I think this one at the bottom is oh yeah, it's in Notebook LM, it's in Gemini, it's in ChatGPT. The reality is this paperclip becomes your best friend. It's your upload. So I'm going to click on that, and all I'm going to do, because I'm on the Chromebook now, is I'm just going to grab that PDF and drag it over. This is why I wanted you to be able to see my whole screen, because I didn't know how much of this you'd be able to see if I was just sharing a window. So it's going to bring that moving forward document in. And as soon as it loads, basically what I'm going to do is have a conversation with the document using AI as my assistant. And this can be extremely powerful, because even if I've taught this content for 2 years, or let's say totally different, I've just switched grade levels. I'm just doing something that I haven't done in a while. Okay, had trouble loading that. Sometimes when I'm doing multiple things at once, the computer slows down. Let's see if it can do it. Hopefully it can. Work. If not, I have a couple preloaded that I can show you basically how it works. But the idea is that I can now have a chat with, and we'll give it a second to load. If it doesn't, I have one preloaded over here that I had done previously. Nope, it didn't. All right. So I'll show you one that I've done before. So here is Wit and Wisdom, grade 2, module 2. What I did was I took the lesson materials for the lesson that I was about to teach, and just asked it to give me an overview. Here's an overview of the attached document, essential question, life of the Plains Indians in the American West, informational text. Here is the basic ideas. Now it says materials needed, Wonder Wheel. I say, what's a Wonder Wheel? And it goes further with that. Example of Wonder Wheel stems. Now I can just keep going further and further. It keeps telling me where to find things, but it's my assistant. Can you help me plan a student activity for a station? I totally spelled that wrong, but let's see. And so basically the AI, now if you have a PLC team that you meet with all the time, obviously you're going to do the planning with them. But a lot of teachers in our school district either teach a subject that nobody else is teaching, teach at a time and get their planning at times that nobody else is available, do not have necessarily, I mean, I'm in a brand new sort of close to empty nester boat. Like my children are both adults now. So now I have all this time after school that I didn't used to have. But we don't all have the same time. But AI can always be there for us. Here's my, it's helping me plan this. Now, I'm not saying this is perfect. This is just the start of something for me. Another one that I want to show you real quick that was really, really helpful. And I had a math coach that started, I think it was this one, that started using the same similar approach. MLRs, are the math language routines that our math teachers around the district have been asked to start incorporating. So I took all the session materials from a PD session that they had been at, and I fed it right in here. Error analysis, stronger and clearer, 3 reads, MLR purpose, how it happens. It gave me my overview, and then for one that I didn't know information gap, I was able to say, tell me more about that. This is how you do it. I was able to say, can you give me an example? Here's what the example would look like. Can you show example of a co-craft question? Here's what it looks like. What I find in the coaching role is that sometimes, and this isn't even accusatory, it's just simply what is. Sometimes teachers don't totally know. Well, nobody knows what it is they don't know. But teachers have been asked, hey, do this, whatever this is, high leverage practices, math language routines, building thinking classrooms, do this with a new curriculum, do that, do this, do that, do that. And we're handed a bunch of stuff. Maybe we get PD around it, maybe we don't, maybe we get training, maybe we get time with a vendor, whatever. Our vocabulary doesn't necessarily match up. This can help with that. This can help us sort of find our way into things. And not everybody is willing to just go, hey, I don't understand. Many people are, but not everybody is. And sometimes the person who needs the help the most is not asking for help. So coaches and other, peer teachers and mentors don't know to offer a hand. And so something like this can be really helpful in that way. And I mentioned Gemini. Here's the Gemini plus sign, add files. And so in Gemini, I can grab the same thing and drop it in. Here we go. Can you summarize this document? Often I'll ask that as my first question, just because I want to make sure I'm in the right document to do something. I want everybody to notice, I'm going to try and zoom in a bit. At the bottom of the page, it says your Schenectady school chats are not used to improve our models. Now I realize, I am a person who lives in the modern world. I'm not dumb enough to think every time a company tells me something, I should just take my word for it. Their word for it. But they do have their privacy policies and whatnot. And I have been to Google New York, and I'm learning more about like what there is. But they will actually show you the thinking behind the model, and then will give you what you've asked for. Document overview, action 2, studying the implementation guide, preparing to teach, reflecting, all that. And then I can just keep going from there in this conversation with Gemini or any app. I mentioned that it's in Notebook LM. Notebook LM is a newer Google tool where you can add sources. I'm going to show you one that I made. Here it is. This one is based all around high leverage practices and high impact teaching strategies. And so I loaded all these sources. I just fed them in. And now as I am working through the concepts, this is more of a notebook approach. This is for my learning. This isn't something that I spin around to students. But what this does is creates a place where I can ask all of my questions and get them answered based on the specific documents that our school district has given me, so that I'm not just like randomly Googling high leverage practices and learning about it, and then it doesn't really sync up with what the school district wants me to do. So I just wanted to show like that's kind of the idea behind loading things into AI, but I also have done that in Spaces. So I'll give you a little idea. Perfect, 1:30. That's when I wanted to switch over. So Spaces, if you've never used them, a very quick overview. In fact, I'm going to go to the book because it's even easier for me to show here in the book. What Spaces are student-facing chatbots that allow students to interact with something that you as a teacher have pre-prompted, added standards, added potentially source documents. And there's 4 ways to do it. You can launch your own, just make one up. You can feed it something, which we're going to look at in a second. You can explore the discovery tab and ready to launch spaces. And then there's this thing called Sidekick, which is going to be a huge piece to the puzzle, especially as the new beta version takes off. But basically, it can be anything you imagine as far as a student to chatbot text based thing. So this is working through a chapter of a book. This is working through a worksheet. This is interviewing an Olympian. This is one that I use. I'll click on this one real quick, and I'll share it to you. If now this is all available in the presentation and in the book creator books that are in our PD guidebooks. But basically what this does is this is interview with an Olympian. This customizes the experience for a student. So again, this was a last summer, 7th and 8th grade, BOCES was running the summer program for 7th and 8th graders, and I was advising and helping out with it. And we were using Olympics as our theme. But rather than have every student read about this Olympian or that Olympian, we leveraged the customizable tools of AI so that students could pick a sport or athlete. One student, his Olympic athlete, was in a sport that wasn't even the Olympics. He was a motocross fan and he had no interest in learning about the Olympics. We were able to spin on a dime and he did his entire summer projects out of motocross. And this was able to help us out with that. So you get to interview a real or historic Olympic athlete. First, can you tell me your name and age? Andy, 50. Got my big 50 this summer. Great to meet you. This is a learning activity. I'll use verified facts, but it won't be a perfect recreation. Are you ready? Yes. Can I interview? Um, um, ooh, why can't I come up with his name? Carl Lewis, big Olympian in my childhood. And so basically now the student is in charge of the activity. And for people wondering, if you've never seen this, it can read the text out loud. You probably won't hear it because of the way I'm sharing my screen. Now it's going to read it in, there's not a lot of customizable voices, so it's not like it can be Carl Lewis's voice, but I can also speak into my microphone to write back. Smiles warmly, hint of pride in his posture. I'm Carl Lewis, 9-time Olympic gold. What would you like? 9 times, all for the same event? I know the answer to that. And there we go. So now I'm in a conversation. Now, is this in the Wikipedia page about Carl Lewis or in the, student reader about Carl? Probably. But there's a customized way that my questions are answered when I want them. I don't have to wait until page 16 of the document to get the answer to the thing. Carl Lewis grew up in a small town. Now I can ask those questions, but I can do, and for those wondering, was this transactional or transformative? This was part of a larger scope. The students were taking notes, physical notes, in an actual like dossier that we had made to go along with it, and they were keeping track because they were going to write journalistic articles later in the summer about this in their own words. So these AI experiences and the AI tools, because this student, if I had chosen Carl Lewis, then all of my math worksheets would have been customized to track and field events. If you chose swimming, all of your math worksheets would have been customized to swimming events. So we were able to customize using AI in a way that you just can't do otherwise. And everything here I could probably find and share with my students, but not in the timely manner that it would have to happen in order to really make this kind of giant change. So for those wondering, I do want to show real quick that when you have launch day space, you will get sessions. I'm going to go to last summer. I have not dismissed the warnings because I want you to see that there are warnings. If a student goes off track, if they ask inappropriate questions, I get summaries off to the side. They are not summaries like this student stinks or anything judgmental like that. It's simply occasionally safety concerns, disengagement, inappropriate behaviors, things like that. But you get all of that, and this is the one I like using. This student, I'm going to zoom just a little bit so you can see. There we go. So this student, who again, this is a summer school program. This is a student who maybe doesn't really want to be there. She didn't. Wants to know about Andrea Radicon's career. Welcome to the activity. Hello, who do you want to learn about? Andrea Radicon. Wondering how many medals you won. Spelling didn't matter. The AI understood. Yes, I won a gold medal on this event. What happened during the doping scandal? Oh, doping. The student's talking about doping. No, because the AI is smart enough to know the student's not asking about how to get drugs. The student's asking about something that they had already learned reading about this athlete. And so it goes through. Now, are these the actual questions that I would have asked if I was interviewing Andrea Radicon? Probably not. But what we found in this scenario, in this situation with our students that we were working with, is that that customization led to students being engaged in a way that we hadn't seen before. I mentioned before about the Discover tab, and we had already searched up. There are all kinds of things built in here. If you're just looking for a simple bell ringer or exit ticket, topic explorer, historic figure chatbot, you're going to want to preview them. If you've never done it, I'm going to show you real quick how it's done in a moment. But here is where, and I had mentioned I'm going to go back to our library here. So when we did this Student's Guide to Digital Tools, I had been asked to work with a teacher who was trying to support the long-term suspension room over at the high school. It is what it was. But what we did was we took some of these very simple tutors and we incorporated them right in the book. These are very generic tutors. Maria, the math tutor, you click on it and it just asks you your name. It's got the session built right in. What grade are you in? If I say 10th, and I can even ask like directly about something I'm working on. Quadratic equations. I need help with functions. So the AI is text-based, but it understands all of these things. What part is tricky? So there we go. Function notation, graphing them. Now Maria, the math tutor, is helping me out. But one of the neat things is that all of these, let's see here, creating lessons using UDL principles. So this is more for teachers. As I had mentioned before, anytime you click into one of these, you can preview it. This is to explore UDL principles and collaboratively explore and practice creating lessons. I can click Start Preview, or I can click on the word Remix. And what it's going to do is bring me actually into the editor. So if I just started from scratch, these would all be blank fields. There's the title. Here's the prompt. Create a professional learning space using the standards and resource provided. So they uploaded they added a standard, New York State Learning Standards, relationship between subjects they teach, and then the shift to student-led reimagining classroom workflows. So they fed it what they wanted, and now a person who engages with it, you just hit Start Preview and it shows you what it would be like, similar to what you just saw me doing. Those were published ones. Those had already been launched, but it's going to walk through the thing. Can you share your subject or grade level? Ninth social studies. Just making this up for the moment. And so basically it's going to look back across the standard and the document, and it's going to cultivate a specific experience just for me. What's a topic that you're going to teach soon? So this is where we can incorporate it as a professional learning resource. But either way, let's say it was a student learning resource. When I'm ready, when I think it's doing what I want, I click Save and Launch. And I get a space code, which is how the ones in this book, those are being done using space codes. So if I was to any of these down here, when you click on it, it has a space code that's attached to it that School AI gave it, so that it connects to my dashboard so that I can see what's going on. Or I can send it right through Google Classroom. And the advantage to sending it through Google Classroom is if you plan for students to come back multiple times, every time a space code is launched, it creates a novel web thing, because not all students are in the same one. They all have their own a unique one. And so the Google Classroom one, they wouldn't have to keep going back to the original link. If I do use a space code, then what it's going to do is drop me in the same screen. Teacher invited you or join a space. I'm going to get that sort of a situation there. And that's newer. If you've seen this before, usually it just launches. So that's a newer thing. But you can get back to the invite link anytime you need to. But this is where your dashboard, these are your sessions. And so each of these, as students are working through, there's the new one. Each of these, as students are working on them, you can see what's going on there. Now, this is where it gets really interesting to me. Two quick things about building these spaces, and then we're going to hop to a couple different things. There is an assistant to help you build a space, and that is what Dot does in the new beta version. But if I click on that, what I can do is, and this is where we really see it being helpful for students across the boards in our school district. I can create something. Let's say I don't right now, but let's pretend I have a syllabus. I need help creating a simple space to answer questions for my class when I'm not available. And so the idea here would be, it's gonna walk me through all of that, and I'll show you like once I've done one basically and answered all the questions, it's these things, it's this thing, what do you want AI to do? Who's the target audience? What would you like? Are there any specifics? This was an escape room, get out in less than 5 attempts. This was about German vocabulary, a world language teacher I was working with. So it helps you write the prompt. Now notice this is a really large prompt, more than just what we saw before, but then I can take that prompt right over to create mode and I can drop it right in. So I might not know everything, but German, I think this one was German vocab practice. If I could type. And now, of course, I would start my preview. I would check my standards. When you have your standards up here, you can just go Common Core or you can switch to New York. You can grab whatever grade level, the world languages, since it's this one, and then even down to strands. And when I add that, it's going to enrich the experience. And then I'll have something that I can share with my students. But let's pretend that I've fleshed it all out and I'm ready. One of the things we can do now, because this is a brand new feature in Google Classroom, is I can go to Classroom. I'm just going to pretend that I'm this German teacher, and this is my pretend classroom here. This is a new feature at the top of Google Classroom this year. On the left side, there's this quick links spot. What I can call this is Student Help Bot. I'm going to pretend that this is not not specific to that vocabulary activity. So now I can say to students, hey, if you're stuck and I'm not available, you can click on this and it's going to bring you into a space that's fed specifically to help you out with my class. Or in any given assignment, I can add a space as one of the resources. So we think a lot in digital coaching around the idea of 3 before me and what can we do using tech for teachers to be able to reach all of their students when we know we can't be everywhere all at once. And that's what these spaces really can do. And they can do so much more. This one will walk you through a YouTube video. Like, just put that in real quick. It'll actually watch the video with you. And as you watch it, it's going to ask you questions and answer any questions you might have. It's really remarkable what it can do. We have one that, oh, I don't think I have it in here, but you can load. We've had teachers load Regents tests, so it's Regents test practice. The one thing you have to remember as you build spaces is it has to be text-based. AI can understand every scientific principle, every math equation. It understands all of it. It can't see. So if it's not written in text that it can read, if it's just a picture, it can't see what it's looking at. So you just sort of have to think through that as you feed things into the AI. But that's the basic idea of how those, oops. Oh, that's actually a link to Notebook LM. That's the basic idea of how these spaces work, because that's what sets it apart, is this idea that a chatbot can be designed by a teacher, and the teacher's sort of viewpoint, words, style, and we can gamify things. I've made escape room ones, I've made choose your own adventure ones, and it's quick because AI will work with me on how to do that. And then I marry that to the standards, and I add in a couple helpful resource documents from my planning materials. And the next thing you know, I have, and I wrote it down here in this description, tutors, extenders, gap fillers, or anything else you need. One of my favorite things is you don't have to necessarily create a space that everybody uses. That's okay. That's definitely something that we're encouraging folks to use. But it could also be like for fast finishers. You have students who are constantly finishing early and have nothing else to do, and you don't have a ton of extra materials to give them. You can say, hey, help me make a space that does a choose your own adventure about the different types of volcanoes. Help me make a space that interviews William Shakespeare about his favorite works and what he really thought about Romeo and Juliet. You can make it be whatever you want. You can tie it right to the thing that you're working on without having to put in a lot of extra effort on your part. Not that I don't think you want to put in effort, but we run out of hours in a day. I remember I always have as a teacher. I just don't have enough time to do every single thing I want to do. Um, it is right in the PD guidebook, and there's walkthroughs in there. So this is some quick information about how you're going to want to think through prompting. Now, obviously, that space designer, that assistant that will help you write it, is also going to ask some of these things. But if you're just sort of working in general, not even for spaces, but in AI in general, working with Gemini, working with Notebook LM, the first and most noteworthy one is to be specific. You have to tell it exactly what you want. And the cool thing is you don't have to mince words. It knows exactly every word in the English language. So you don't have to change it. You can say exactly what you want it to do. And then say, if it's too wonky, then say, could you simplify that? And it will help simplify it. Always give context. I will usually launch a lot of my prompts for something like, I am a 7th grade science teacher in a medium-sized upstate New York urban environment. I don't say Schenectady, New York. I don't say anything more particular than that, but I'll often say, as we create this activity, be mindful that some of the students may struggle with literacy. And so AI will actually work with me just on those specs to help me craft things that have the differentiation and the scaffolding built into them, instead of just giving me a middle of the road activity, which is what it would do if I said, help me make a lesson plan for Romeo and Juliet Act 1. It would just sort of make the, William Shakespeare for Dummies version of that. But if I say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to focus on, I want to focus on how this character's development goes along with some larger ideas in the modern world, including this article that I've just added in, that's going to enrich the experience for you and for your students. And finally, I say, don't worry about hurt feelings. You can't hurt AI's feelings. I'm not saying be mean to AI. I usually say please and thank you as I work with it. I realize that that's silly, but it helps my brain. Um, I'm not saying be cruel. What I'm saying is, you can say, that wasn't it, try again. Nope, that wasn't it, try again. No, you're not understanding. Here's what you need to understand. You can be as direct as you want, and AI is not going to be like, really? We've already done this 5 times. Just be very direct with what you want. That's not exactly it. Michael Sheridan does a lot of work with Claude, and he'll have Claude, it's another AI tool. Claude, make me this. Nope, that's not it. You did it wrong. And Claude will be like, oh, sorry about that. Let me try again. Because when you get a chance to see AI working with the students, which again is not an all the time thing. Maybe it's just I need a little help with this, or I don't understand this concept and I want a little bit of extra support on it or something. It's not the student chatbots up at all times of the day. But when you see the students interacting with it, what you're going to notice is that it's the most patient tutor in the world. Oh, you didn't understand that? Let me give you another example. Oh, you didn't understand that? Let me say it simpler. Oh, you didn't understand that? Let me go a little bit further. It's not going to ever lose its cool and be like, I don't know what you're doing here. Now, if students are typing just boldly inappropriate things, it will pause those chats. As you saw with the red bands at the top, it will stop chats if they're completely non-educational. But if a student's just like, I still don't get it, it's going to be patient and work through things in a way that sometimes we don't have the time as teachers to take for a specific student multiple times a day. Kurt Redmond shared this earlier this summer with me, and I wanted to include it. It's this idea of the word prompt as a way to improve our prompting, as a mnemonic. Purpose, role, that's that context. The output, what are you looking for? The main points, the people, who is the audience, and then you test it and refine it. That's huge. I haven't mentioned it yet this hour, so I'll say it now because we're getting close to the end. We ascribe to this idea in educational technology of what's called the 80-20 rule. You never let AI do more than 80% of your task. Not your job, but the task that you've asked it to do. So that last 20% is crucial. That's when I see whatever AI created, the worksheet, the experience, the fill in the blank, whatever it is. Is it correct? I have to read every word of it. I have to diligently think, is this biased in any way toward my students? If it is, I need to make changes to it. Often I'll have AI do the first draft and then I'll spend time with the document myself. It just saves me some of the typing time, and especially things for like tables and stuff like that. It sets them up quickly. I'll say, can you create in a tabular format all of the last 50 years of Olympic 100-meter dash times, and it'll make that very quickly for me. Now I have the thing. I'm not just going to hand that to the students, but now I have the top of my page, and now I can fill in the rest of the worksheet that I needed to do. A quick word about Brisk. Brisk is, and feel free to, if this little mini taste is like, whoa, I need more of that, reach out to one of the 3 digital learning coaches. Brisk is a toggleable extension that lives right up here at the top of the in the extensions. And what I'm going to do is kick out to a doc. Let's see here. This is my esports document that I've been working on. Brisk pops up. It's this floating circle, the little halo around it. And what Brisk can do is create, it can change levels. You can, and when I click create, I can make a quiz off of something. I can make an exemplar, discovery of knowledge questions, decodable texts, math spiral review, word problems, a presentation, a sub plan. That's helpful. Again, for that student who might need the extension activity or guided notes, it'll help with those things. Another huge thing that teachers love is that on like a Google Doc like this, you can click inspect writing, and it will walk through the entirety of the document, total number of edits, total number of pastes. So something that's made by AI, which Brisk will do we think this was made by AI, but it will actually show you what was typed when, what was struck through, when things were done. It's moving kind of slow right now because I also am doing a meet and a recording at the same time. But you can give feedback. So you can say, I'd like to do some glows and grows on this. Tell it exactly what you want. I'm not doing that right now for time, but basically it'll write. Now again, it's not doing my job for me, because what I'm going to do is maybe insert these. And when you insert them, they appear at the top of the page, but they're all editable. I'm not just going to go, here you go, here you go, here you go. But if 6 students turned in an essay, I used to be a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teacher. 6 students turned in an essay, and the feedback that I want to give is almost identical each time. Me just spending time typing that out, typing that out, typing that out. I can. I'm not saying you can't. Go ahead. But this changes. This gives me that time back, and I can go, oh no, they're definitely, this one needs to be deleted or whatever. So there we go. I actually, please exit. There we go. I'm going to undo that because this is an actual document that we're using for things. But it can do those sort of things. But the neat thing about Brisk is that it can work off of just about any website. So if I go to, like, I don't know, grab an NPR story, tariff costs are rising, I want to use this for my business class, but I don't have the time to write a lesson plan right now. I hit Brisk, create lesson plan, and it's going to actually write out a lesson plan for that website. Do the same thing on YouTube.
Andy, you have to go into the AI to find that Brisk teaching, or
Brisk is actually an extension. So if you just type in Brisk for Google Chrome in a web search, it'll bring you to the Chrome Web Store. Let's see, Brisk for Chrome. I'll grab it for you. Here it is. Copy link address. I'm going to throw it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There you go. So, all right, I cut it off, but you get the basic idea. I can do it with a YouTube video. I don't know, Bill Yee. I don't know Bill Yee. How about Bill Nye? Bill Nye the Science Guy. I have video I want to share with my students, but I also want to make a material to go along with it. I want to do it off of this. I simply open the video. I'm going to pause it real quick before it plays. I hit Brisk. I go create, and I can make a quiz right off the time savers. Now, again, that might not appeal. I just wanted to show everybody that couple minutes on Brisk because it is such a valuable tool and a time saver. I did see there was a question, Ruth Christian. Can it help you generate assessment checks? Yes, absolutely. You just put in the curriculum standards and say, could you help me make an assessment checklist based on this? It can make rubrics. It can make just about anything you need it to make. Absolutely. The last thing is the pay sheet.
Hey, Andy.
So, yes, go ahead.
Just quick question about the YouTube part. With
Yes.
the kids not being able to use YouTube, can you still send them the video through Brisk?
So the kid, all right.
Kids can't watch YouTube videos anymore.
Yes, they can. Feel free to stay on after. All you have to do is put it either in your Google Classroom or in a slide deck, and the kids can watch any YouTube video you want them to watch. They just can't go to YouTube. That's the thing they're not allowed to do. So there's 5 or 6 different ways to share YouTube videos with students. And yes, Brisk, I could put that in a slide deck. I can show you how to do that if you want to stay on after this call. I'll show everybody how to get paid, and then I'll show you how to do that real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube's not gone. It's just teacher controlled now. We can't have the students at the YouTube website because we do not have an agreement for personal identifiable information for their accounts out at that website. We only have it for the core Google, and that's not part of core Google. But we can put YouTube videos in a lot of different places so that students can watch them. They just can't search them themselves. So with that said, I'm going to show you how to get paid real quick, and I'm actually going to walk through it. But the basic idea, if you haven't done payroll in a while, it's in ClassLink now. So I'm going to start from ClassLink. And if you've done this 100 times this summer, then please just make sure you fill it out correctly. But it should be in the staff materials in that folder, School Front. That's going to bring me to this screen where I click on Sign In with Google, choosing my school account, especially if you're using a home computer right now. And then what you're going to do is just click on Available Forms in the top left corner. I'll zoom that just a little bit. And again, this is going to be in the recording. So there we go. And what you're looking for is OTL. So each one of these green banners tells you what it is. We are part of the OTL department. So you're looking for the OTL, and we are the third one down. We are number 3, instructional technology. That is today's timesheet. OTL, number 3, instructional technology. If you're not positive, if you're on the right one, just use a Control F on the screen and type in instructional technology. We are literally the only thing on the entire page that a Control F will bring you to. It's that timesheet. When you're in the timesheet, just do it for today. So fill in August 21st, the start time. Now this is don't try and type any punctuation. I'm going to show you the fast way to do it. 1100A. A for AM. I didn't press any spaces. I didn't do anything. And it fills 11 a.m. End time 2:00P, and it fills 2:00 p.m. No spaces, no tabs, no, I'm just using my mouse to click. Number of hours 3. Comment, this is important, summer tech days. Then down at the bottom, generate your preview. Once you have correctly filled that out with the AM, the PM correct, double check that you're not clocking out at 2 a.m. or anything like that. Then generate the preview. It'll bring you to a page that shows those 3 hours. And at the bottom, you simply, now, I'm not actually a participant. I'm separate from that part, but then you would just hit sign and submit once you've put your signature on it. You can also add another comment here, summer training on August 21st with the digital learning coaches. If you want to double down on, I want to be hyper specific about this so that I definitely get paid on time. Yeah, I know. I don't want to. Okay, there we go. So it's OTL, Schoolfront, OTL, instructional technology, good to go. Is there anybody who has any questions about the payroll sheet? Because the last time I did this, my session, I don't know if it was the teachers who were with me or something I did wrong. I'm going to admit that it could have been something I did wrong. Many of my sessions timesheets got bounced for AMs and PMs and not filling in the comment section. And a couple for not clicking on the correct timesheet. So it's OTL, instructional technology, today's date, correct times, 3 hours, good to go. With that said, I'm going to hang on the meet. The big meet is still going. If you have any questions for Michael or Rick, they're going to be over there. I'm going to stay here for just a couple minutes, obviously, to answer Melissa's question. But other than that, this is the close. There is no like final event. So if you are all set, feel free to stay on for a couple questions, go back to the meet for some bigger questions, but that is our day. Thanks for joining us for Summer Tech Days. I'm going to stop the recording now. There we go.